Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. So today's topic that we'll be talking about is actually Hola Mohalla. So around this time of year, especially the early few weeks of March, Hola Mohalla is an event that is celebrated by Sikhs. But a lot of the times we don't understand the reason why. So Holi is a ceremony that is a tradition that has been started from a very long time, that is celebrated by our Hindu brothers. Now, in Guru Sahib's time, there was a lot of segregation, there was a lot of religious segregation. So if you don't know, the Hindu caste system, the way it works is that the Brahmins are at the top, and these were the scholars. Then it came the Khatris, they were like the royalty, and they were the types of warriors, you could say. Then the Vash were like the businessmen, so the people who promoted businesses and stuff like that. And the Shudras were the ones that were the lower, the untouchables, and they were the people that no one really regarded as nice people. And it was quite a rough thing. Now, the way the history tells it is that, well, Brahmins, they used to celebrate Vaisakhi, because Vaisakhi was the time where farming was at its best. So it was also the time of harvest. So because of that, they would celebrate Vaisakhi, because the Brahmins were quite, we could say they were quite money minded. So a lot of the Brahmins spent more time actually gaining money than they did actually doing prachar of their dharam, and they treated people in their dharam quite badly. So they spent a lot of time actually taking money from people who weren't very well written, people who were illiterate, things like that. The Khatris celebrated the Sera, because the Sera was considered as a time for warriors, as a time for royalty. And then the Vash would celebrate Diwali, because Diwali was also a similar time where it was quite a well off time for businesses. So because of that, Diwali was celebrated by the Vash. And the Shudras weren't given any sort of indication as to what they're allowed to celebrate, because the Shudras were considered as people who weren't allowed to celebrate anything. They weren't allowed to engage in religious practices, and they weren't allowed to come to, for example, they weren't allowed to come to mandars and pray. They had to pray at their homes, so they weren't even allowed to pray at times. So it was quite a bad time for the Shudras. And what the Brahmins used to do is they used to say that if you guys want to celebrate something, if you guys want some sort of celebration time for yourself, then you can celebrate by throwing colours and by throwing guns on each other. And that became the celebration of Holi. So the story behind Holi that they usually say, where they say Bhagat Prahlad was saved from Harnakash and he was saved from Holika, and from there you get the term Holi. Really, the idea of throwing colours and the idea of throwing guns, especially in India, if you go on Holi, a lot of the times, even nowadays, you will see that on Holi they throw colours, but they also throw like cow poo and things like that as well. So it's quite unsanitary as well. So what did Guru Sahib do when Guru Gobind Singh Ji Maharaj created the Khalsa Panth in 1699? The year after, Guru Sahib got an actual visual into the kind of way that these people would celebrate Holi. Now, for those of you who don't know, the reason behind the creation of the Khalsa was to actually create some sort of force of people and unite people. Because if you want to really go into the deep parts of it, the way that the Itihaskas write and the way that the scholars explain it is that the Hindu Brahmins were only 3%, and they used the Khatris and the Vaishyas to a total of 15%. Now that 15% had control over the total 85% of the population of India. Unfortunately, it's still the same case right now. So that 15% was controlling the total 85%, and these 85% were the true natives of India, because the Hindu Dharam originates from the Aryans. So the Aryans were people who were very smart. Now these people didn't invade in the sense that they would fight. They invaded people's minds, and they were very smart, and they were very manipulative. So the Aryans were able to create this sort of system where the 15% controlled this 85% of people, in the way that they had broken them down so much through oppression that they weren't able to stand up and say, no, this is right, this is wrong. So when Guru Gobind Singh Ji Maharaj created the Khalsa Panth, it gave those people, those armed people, a fighting chance. It gave those people some sort of credibility that, you know, we're part of something bigger. And it also gave them a karapan in their hand as well. So they had an option whether they wanted to fight or whether they wanted to have an intellectual battle as well. So when Guru Sahib saw the way that their Sikhs were now celebrating Holi, Guru Sahib wasn't impressed, and they said that this has no meaning. Throwing colours on someone and throwing gand on someone has no meaning. So Guru Sahib decided to create Hola. And Hola Mohalla is what we're celebrating. Hola refers to attacking. Mohalla comes from the idea of defending. So it was the idea that Guru Sahib created battle simulations. So at Guru Sahib's time, the forts of Anandpur that were around Anandpur Sahib, Guru Sahib would actually have a band of Sikhs in one fort, and then they would send another band of Sikhs, another Jatha of Sikhs, and they would say attack that fort and try and take it over. Now it was a battle simulation so that no one would get hurt, but it was the concept of Gatka, in the sense that you were training to learn how to fight in that kind of situation where you might have to take over something or you might have to earn a certain goal. Whoever won that were then given some sort of prize by Guru Sahib, whether it was Shastra, whether it was a Gutka Sahib, something that they would be very appreciated of. So in that way, Guru Sahib created the system of Hola Mohalla, that it was the idea that Sikhs had something that they could celebrate and they could display their own Shastra Vidya skills. Now unfortunately in our Panth we have this really big problem of not celebrating what we've got, and we try and pull things from different religions and we try and make a mixed sabji of what our Sikhi is, when really our original Sikhi is so beautiful, it's so nice that we're just destroying it for no reason. So really now at Anandpur Sahib, when we have Hola Mohalla, where we should be celebrating it by doing battle simulations, by doing Gatka like Guru Sahib has told us, we're also there throwing rangs at people as well. So that is something that we shouldn't be doing, and it's really something that's really bad, because for the thing that Guru Sahib told us not to do, we're directly doing it. And unfortunately it is our Sikhs and it is our Amritdhari Sikhs that are doing it more, and they're saying, yeah, let's do it, it's not a big problem, let's have fun too, where you should be getting fun out of actually doing Gatka and actually enjoying yourself like that. So now a lot of people might have an issue with this as well, because from a Western perspective, in that sense, when I went to university and I started talking about Hola Mohalla, a lot of people were like, well, that sounds really violent. Now the thing is that some people don't understand this, and it is a big problem, because it's the cause of lack of prachar really. It's just the idea that we don't have that much prachar about these kind of things. But Sikhs are hathiarband. We are revolutionary people. We're not people who are just shantamai. We're also Shastratari. We also carry weapons. We learn how to use those weapons, and it's important that we know how to use those weapons, because at times, there will be times, and there have been times, where Sikhs have been tested both intellectually, whether it was Guru Gobind Singh Ji Maharaj's Zafarnama, whether it was by Khan Sikh's Namba book that talks about Hum Hindu nahi, that Sikhs are not Hindus, whether it's now where Sikhs are fighting for Azadi using their intellectual purposes, but also there have been times where Sikhs have needed to use their weapons, whether it was Chamkaur di Gadi, whether it was in different battles, whether it was the freeing Darbar Sahib, whether it was the Khalistan movement, whether it was the Kharku Lehr, where Sikhs were fighting against the police and against the government, but they weren't fighting against their desh, they were fighting against the system, because the system was unjust. In the same way, Sikhs are meant to be tiyar bar tiyar in both Shastra Vidya and in their normal Vidya as well. So really, this is the kind of stuff we have to do prachar of. And for those people who try and say, well, Guru Nanak Dev Ji was really Shantamay and Guru Gobind Singh Ji Maharaj was just like, Shastra Vidya, so that's not, how can those two be the same? Well, for some people who don't understand this, really they haven't read their itihas, because Guru Angad Dev Ji Maharaj actually started the base of Gataka by starting wrestling in the Panth. So Guru Angad Dev Ji used to actually partake in wrestling, and they also used to get Sikhs to wrestle so that they had some sort of gyan about how to fight. If we fast forward to Guru Arjan Dev Ji Maharaj, Guru Arjan Dev Ji Maharaj, our fifth Guru, we know them as Shahidaan Sartaj, someone, the first Sikh martyr, but they were also Shastrtari. When Guru Arjan Dev Ji Maharaj went to have their biyah, when they went to have their Anand Karaj, if they wanted to get married in that pind, they would have to pull a killa out of the ground on a horse with a spear. And what the Pindawale were, they were quite chalak, and what they did is they actually said that the Killa was this big tree that was rooted in the ground. And Guru Arjan Dev Ji Maharaj pulled that tree out with one strike of their barsha. So again, Guru Arjan Dev Ji Maharaj was also Shastrtari. Guru Hargobind Sahib Ji Maharaj, Miri Piri de Malik, they were Shastrtari. Guru Har Rai Sahib was Shastrtari. All our Sikh Gurus had Shastra Vidya, but it was just a matter of who needed to use it at what time. Guru Tegh Bahadur Maharaj fought in jungs as well. Guru Gobind Singh Ji Maharaj obviously fought in jungs as well. So really, Sikhs need to understand that this is part of our Vidya as well. So I hope this taught you a little bit about why we celebrate Hola Mohalla, because it is a really important festival that Sikhs have. We just have to actually get it into our heads that it's not about throwing rungs, it's about actually learning Guru Sahib's Vidya and actually trying to practice that Vidya, because when we need that Vidya, then we're going to be stuck if we haven't actually tried to learn it as well. There have been many instances that I'm sure you guys have seen plenty of videos of, where Sikhs are getting beaten and attacked in a one-on-one fight because they don't know how to protect themselves. And usually what ends up happening is that person takes off the Singh's dastar, and then after that it's just basically, you just basically watch the Singh get beaten up. But instead of that, our Sikhs should be ready to fight. So if we do need to fight, we're ready in that perspective to be able to fight no matter what it is, to protect ourselves and protect others. Because the whole point of wearing a kirpan, the blessing in your hand, that it's the idea that you are ready to use it if you need to use it, but you have the know-how how to use it as well. It's not just about being able to swing it, it's about how you swing it, why you swing it, the different vars that come into it. So these are the kind of things that we need to study, these are the kind of things we need to learn. So I urge everyone to actually learn a bit of Shastra Vidya as well if they can. So I hope you all enjoyed. I hope this taught you a little bit about Guru Gobind Singh Ji Maharaj's idea of Hola Mohalla and why they ask Sikhs to partake in Hola Mohalla. Das will actually be doing Hola Mohalla in university as well. So stay tuned for that program as well, because it will be very interesting for everyone to see how Hola Mohalla is at university as well. So Pulna Chukka Di Khema. Hope you have all enjoyed. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh.
ਅਕਾਲ ਚੈਨਲ ਨੂੰ ਸਬਸਕ੍ਰਾਈਬ ਕਰੋ। ਨਵੀਂ ਵੀਡੀਓਜ਼ ਦੀ ਨੋਟੀਫਿਕੇਸ਼ਨ ਦੇ ਲਈ ਬੈਲ ਆਈਕਨ ਨੂੰ ਕਲਿੱਕ ਕਰਨਾ ਨਾ ਭੁੱਲਣਾ।